Hello, readers. Today we are going to identify the central idea or main topic and important details in a text. Remember, the central idea is what the text is mostly about, and the important details tell you about the main topic. The way we figure out the central idea and important details is by using clues, like the titles in a text, pictures, the first sentence, headings, and the last sentence. These are all clues to figure out the central idea and important details. Now, the text that I am going to read today is an informational text called Scientists Who Changed the World by Alexandra Hansen Harding. This is a biography. A biography is a type of informational text that tells facts about a person or people. Let's look at the front cover together. I see photographs of 4 people. These people must be important. The title makes me think these people are scientists. Let's read to find out. Now, before we read, we always need to look at our table of contents. That is right here. Remember, the table of contents shows us how the text will be organized. There are 4 chapters, and each chapter tells us about a different person. Probably the same people that are on the cover of the book. Some words that will be highlighted or bolded in the story. The first one is astronauts. Astronauts float when they are in outer space. Invented. Scientists invented rockets to carry people to the moon. Mathematician. A child who loves numbers might grow up to be a mathematician. Scientists. Some scientists study the stars and other objects in outer space. Sword. The eagle soared high above the forest. And universe. Earth is a very tiny part of the universe. All right, let's begin reading. Introduction. People have always looked up in the sky with amazement. They have wondered what it would be like to fly or to travel to outer space. This book describes 5 important scientists who helped explain many mysteries of the sky. These scientists made it possible for humans to fly and to explore space. They helped people learn about the universe. I'm looking at the photographs now. We have Orville Wright and Wilbur Wright, Katherine Johnson, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and Stephen Hawking. Chapter 1, The Wright Brothers. Orville and Wilbur Wright were brothers who invented the first airplane. The 2 men studied the wings of birds to see how they worked. They gave the Wright brothers ideas to improve the wings of their planes. Over and over, they tried new ways to make a plane fly. Their hard work finally paid off. On December 17, 1903, on that day, their plane soared into the sky over Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Now, boys and girls, remember in informational text, we see photographs or pictures, and then the text feature here is captions. Captions tell us about the pictures or the photographs. This one says, many stamps around the world celebrate the Wright brothers. Over here, it says, the Wright brothers' first flight took place on a windy beach. So I know that this photograph is a picture of the plane that they used on their first flight. Up here, it says, did you know before the Wright brothers invented the first airplane, they owned a bicycle shop? So they were very interested in transportation. Chapter 2, Katherine Johnson. Katherine Johnson worked for many years as a mathematician for NASA, the U.S. Space Agency. Johnson had an important and difficult job. She had to plan a way for astronauts to travel to the moon and back. No one had ever gone to the moon before. Johnson used her incredible math skills to plan the trip. Her plan worked. In 1969, astronauts went to the moon and returned home safely. All right, let's take a look at the photographs. We have several here. This caption talks about this photograph. There's an arrow. Johnson worked on many important space projects during her career. So I know that this is Katherine Johnson and she is working on a project. Up here it says Johnson in front of NASA building named in her honor. So that building is named after her because of all of the important work that she did for them. And down here is a picture of a movie about Katherine Johnson. Maybe someday you'll be able to watch that movie. All right, chapter 3, Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking was one of the smartest people in history. He was an expert on black holes, which are objects in space made of stars that have collapsed or caved in on themselves. Hawking used math to develop his ideas. He often figured out very complicated math in his head. Hawking's research helped explain how the universe works. Now we have several photographs and captions. Let's read them. Hawking wrote a famous book that explains space science. Here is the picture of the book that he wrote. Over here it says, did you know Stephen Hawking had an illness called ALS? He used a wheelchair to move and a machine to help him talk. And down here, the caption reads, President Barack Obama gave Hawking the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2009 for all of his hard work and discoveries. Chapter 4, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Neil deGrasse Tyson is a space scientist. He runs the Hayden Planetarium in New York City, where he teaches people about science and the universe. He likes to explain why the science in some movie scenes is wrong. Tyson is famous for talking about science in a fun way. He often appears on TV. Tyson says that science is important because it's true, whether or not you believe in it. Now, boys and girls, let's look at this picture. This is actually a text feature called a diagram. And this diagram is helping us learn about the solar system. Now, how does it help us understand where Pluto is? Well, I can see that it says Pluto. It's still not a planet. Pluto is right here. It's showing us exactly where Pluto is in the solar system. Let's read the caption. Did you know people used to call Pluto a planet? Tyson argued that Pluto was too small to be called a planet. He helped change the way we look at our solar system. Conclusion. The 5 people described in this book use science to turn dreams into reality. Because of science, people have learned about space. People can fly in planes, and astronauts have walked on the moon. As scientists continue to explore our universe, their important discoveries change the world every day. And one more time, this one is, these scientists are Orville and Wilbur Wright. This is Katherine Johnson, Stephen Hawking, and Neil deGrasse Tyson. All right, boys and girls, we're going to go back to the anchor chart for central idea and important details. Now, I really felt like Katherine Johnson was very interesting, and she did so much for getting to the moon, and I just feel like that was really amazing. So I'm going to figure out that central idea and important details for Chapter 2 on Katherine Johnson. Now, what were the pages mostly about? If I go back to those pages, which you will do also when you are doing the central idea and main and key details. So if we look at this, I can see in the photographs a woman in different stages of her life. These pages are mostly about Katherine Johnson, who was an important mathematician. So the central idea, I would think, is that Katherine Johnson is an important person who helped change the world. Now, what important details in the text tell me more about Katherine Johnson? When I read closely, and I can always go back and reread, I see details about Katherine Johnson's life. She worked at NASA. She used math to help her get astronauts to travel into space and back for the first time. These details support the central idea by telling me about Katherine Johnson and how she helped change the world. Now, you are going to have a chance to do the seesaw activity or just do it on paper at home. I want you to look at Chapter 4 and try to identify the central idea and then draw pictures of the important ideas or details that help you figure out what the central idea is. All right, good job, readers.